Good morning everyone, or whenever you're watching this, hello, good afternoon, good evening. Today I am going on placement. I've been on this placement for, how long? Since like October, I think. So it's been 1 day a week. I think it's October, around then. So I've been going in 1 day a week since October, and I'm in a primary school, and usually it starts off with being in the school, seeing a variety of different children of different ages in primary, so that's age 4 to 11, and then doing a variety of different therapies depending on the child's needs, doing initial assessment, speaking to parents, speaking to teachers, doing observations in classrooms. Obviously a lot of today is confidential, so I won't be able to show like the school or anything like that, but I am gonna like kind of show you as best I can my whole day. And I'm currently walking there, so it takes me like quite a long time, like an hour on the tube. But yeah, so that's that. I do have a mask in my pocket because I think the school advises you still wear masks even though you don't have to anymore. But yeah, I'll try and show you my day. I'll try and show you some of my resources. So yeah, morning in the school and then afternoon in the office doing notes and things. Yeah. As you can see, I'm not on placement. It was actually really difficult to film anything. I was going to try and show you some of the resources, but often it had either children's names in there or, you know, there was some sort of like identifying information which could suggest who a child was or the school, which I didn't want to risk showing at all, obviously for confidentiality reasons and safeguarding. As you can see, like I'm looking at my laptop now, you can probably see like I'm editing the video and I really don't have much footage, but what I thought is I'd show you like my folder with all like my resources in it that don't have any identifying information. These are all part of this placement. Lots of people will have a lot more experience in this than I do, but I've never worked in a primary school before. So I made all these resources or like used resources that my practice educator used. So my practice educator is the person that works there, and then she like looks after me as a student. So this is some listening rules depending on the child. Some children are obviously very good at attending and listening, but some need more reminding, and this visual is just very helpful. Something I used a lot. Also this, like the how am I feeling. Often a lot of the children, especially children with social communication difficulties and diagnosis of autism, they have difficulties knowing how they're feeling or how others might be feeling. So using, again, a visual like this, you know, they've got some options to choose from on how they're feeling. You can ask them why to get them to like elaborate and understand more why they're feeling the way they are and whatever. And obviously this fully depends on the child. Yeah, so, you know, some children wouldn't be able to access this at all. Some children, you say, how are you? And they say, I'm very fine, thanks. I just had fun in the playground. So, very different. My colourful semantics. So this is to help children that maybe have grammatical difficulties. So they might say things in the wrong order. Like, the boy is eating cake. They might say, eating the boy cake. Maybe not like that, but that's just an example. So this helps them make like sentences, and it makes it a bit fun because they've got Velcro and they stick on. So that is really nice. Good thing to use. And then this is always a good like introductory task, just about conversation topics really. I thought I'd show you those resources. I just think it's helpful to like get an idea of kind of what I was doing. So in the morning I would go into the school, I would have a certain caseload of children that I often saw, and I'd often do similar things with those children because I'd be working on their therapy plans. So set goals, and I'd be doing therapy sessions to work on those goals and to help them progress to meet those goals. So that's kind of what I do. Other things that I did whilst on the placement is I went into classrooms to observe certain children that had been referred to the speech therapy service, and we would go into the classroom, we'd watch them in the classroom environment, maybe in an activity that they like to do, and then in a more structured activity, so like sitting on the carpet, stuff like that. And then often in the playground as well, especially if they had reported issues with friends or social communication. It's just good to see them in different environments. So that's usually like where you'd start off with assessment, and using like the case history that you'd call the parents with and the referral form that the school would write about the child, you would then come up with some sort of an assessment idea depending on their age, what their difficulties are, areas you think they might need further assessment in, to, you know, come up with some sort of diagnoses, or even, you know, just to kind of work out what they need to work on. So you'd do that, then you'd do the assessment with the child. Often that fully would not go to plan, and you'd end up having to try and do it through play or through something else, depending on their attention. So, you know, just kind of working it out depending on the child. And yeah, and then from that assessment, you'd speak to the parents, you'd see what their goals are for their child or what they want to achieve, and you'd speak to them about what goals you were thinking of setting based on the assessment. Then you'd write a therapy plan, you'd put their goals in, and then you would say how you're going to work on those goals, like what kind of things you'll be doing. There's a lot of discussion with teachers and teaching assistants about like what you think their difficulties are, whether they align and match with them, and also they often have a much better perspective of what the child is like. So for example, if they do really well in assessment, they'd be like, oh, this is quite shocking, because they can't usually attend for that long. Or the other way around, sometimes, you know, they might not be in the mood that day, something might have happened in the playground. The teachers and teaching assistants have a much better idea of the child as a whole, so they're always so good to speak to. So yeah, after the therapy plan's in place, you would likely model what you're going to do with the child in a therapy session to a teaching assistant, or, you know, you kind of work it out depending on how skilled the teaching assistant is, how much help they need, how much modelling you think they require, and just working alongside them is always good. And I've really enjoyed working alongside like the teaching assistant in the schools, and, you know, speaking to different people as well about what they think about the child, like the parents, because some parents say, oh no, they've got no problems at all. So it's kind of, you know, working with them and to say like what your assessments found, and, you know, what the kind of norms they should be at for their age. So that's kind of like the process for that. And then you like would check, I don't know, I think it's 6 months later, whether they've met those goals and whether they need to continue with speech therapy, or if they don't, then you discharge. But if you do, you might set some new goals based on the new assessment, and it's kind of like a continuous thing. But the children that I kind of worked with in the primary school tended to be the lower years. I'm not really sure why, it just happens to be that. So key stage 1, so that's age 4 till, I want to say 8. It's reception till year 2, I think, and then you go into key stage 2 in year 3. So I tended to work with a lot of those children, lots of whom had diagnoses of ADHD, autism, developmental language disorder, also known as DLD, social communication difficulties. Quite a few children as well had difficulties with self-esteem and things like that, but often it was alongside something else. So a lot of it was like confidence building to support their language learning, if that makes sense. So yeah, they were the kind of children that I saw. Some children had no language at all. Yeah, so that is kind of a lot of what we did. And I hope that kind of is a good summary of like what I did on placement. And then now you're just gonna see me on my way home on the tube from placement. So it's really not that exciting. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. If there's anything you want to see, please let me know. And I hope to see you soon. Bye!